This podcast is brought to you by Rebecca Cassells of the Rising Dawn series. Do you like violence? Do you like smut? Are you tired of the stereotypical novels of werewolf romance out there and want something a little bit different? Then pick up Sparked Revolution, Book 1 in the Rising Dawn series by Rebecca Cassells. Available on Amazon, in Kindle and paperback. You too can become a sponsor of Stories, the True and the Fictional by heading on over to buymeacoffee.com/STTATF or follow the link in the show notes. Hello guys and welcome to Stories, the True and the Fictional. It is another episode, it is another interview, and we have another exciting guest, Damien Francis. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Well, let's start with my favourite question. Who is Damien Francis?
No, I have a question. I have a question first, actually.
Really?
And this is only because one of my old closest friends had the same curse that you have, Damien.
Uh-huh.
Why did your parents hate you so much to give you two first names?
Yeah, that's it, right? I have no idea, honestly. I think they were like going through a list and Damien was like 10th or something on the list, and they were like, yeah, he looks like a Damien. We'll stick with that. And then they kind of just ran with that. And it was, my middle name is also like a first name. So it's like three first names.
First name.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had one of my mates was Mark Philip Scott, and I always used to give him so much crap and said his parents hated him because they gave him two first names and wouldn't give him a last name.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It works. It does the job. It gets me through the day.
It sounds like an author name though when you say it. Damien Francis.
Yeah,
it sounds like an author name.
Having grown up with it, I don't hear it personally. That's the name.
Okay.
That's the name my mum calls me when I'm in trouble. So I usually go by Damo like nearly 100% of the time. Even when like I've met some people, it's always like, oh, it's Damo. Just go with Damo. So
I can't call you Damo because you don't look like you've just come off Centrelink and gone and borrowed a pack of Winnie Blues. So
no, that's it. No, I don't have a lighter. I don't have a lighter to show.
No, exactly. Because I know a few Damos and they truly live up to their name by not doing much in the world. But you're an author and you're a gentleman. You're a scholar, so I will refer to you as Damien Francis.
Fair enough. I appreciate it.
So that's my first interruption done, Jamie.
Okay.
We have many more to look forward to on this podcast.
Okay. Who is Damien Francis?
Yeah, that's it. I'm a writer. I'm an author, gamer, Christian. I'm an explorer. I'm a extrovert, so I'm pretty crazy making friends. They call me like a social butterfly. I'm a movie, TV show buff. And I'm a hard worker. Love a lot of hard work. So that's kind of how I ended up writing a book.
Awesome. Well, I'd like to welcome our listeners and our viewers after Damien just given us that list to our 17-hour podcast today. Yeah. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about. So this might be you might break Matthew Holmes's record. Is it Matthew Holmes or Martin Kearns?
Martin Kearns is the longest.
Martin Kearns. So our lovely sponsor, and good friend of mine, Martin, of ours, I should say, but
ours,
Martin
yes.
Kearns from. Oh, hey, we talk every night for a year, Jamie. He is my friend, not yours.
Okay.
And you know what? He's
that's
probably
some early shade.
And you know what? Kearns is probably listening to this episode, so I'm going to give him a shout out. Thank you, Martin Kearns, for being a great sponsor to this podcast. And please check out his books on Amazon or on his website, wherever good books are sold. But yeah, Martin Kearns had been on 3 times. He's forced us to make 2 new lots of icebreakers.
Oh my gosh!
And so yeah, and what's the record? Is it 2 hours, Jamie, or 2 hours 20?
No, hour 40. But actually, no, because
40.
No, well, that's not an interview. But we had Rebecca Cassells, our other sponsor. Her husband came on, and we went for 2 hours.
Wow, that's impressive.
But we've got to beat Niels.
Yeah,
but that's right. But Niels wasn't an interview. It was just he was coming on the other show that we, we're just talking nonsense.
Oh, fair.
Okay, fair enough. No, I think we can, with your interest, and as it said, it's just about gaming. I reckon we can go at least an hour and a half. That's without even talking about yourself. So
yeah, that's it.
I'm looking forward to it. So let's crack into the icebreaker. Jamie, I'm going to let you start this week because I started last week.
Okay.
I want to try and, now that I'm trying to get more into the podcast, I want to mix it up a little bit. I want to keep our listeners on our toes and keep our interviewees on our toes as well. So you take the first question, Jamie.
Okay. Damien Francis. I got to say that in an English accent.
Yeah.
If you could get rid of one thing in the world, what would it be?
One thing in the world. I would go with, I kind of like change a little bit. I'd go something out of the world. If I could, I would try to get rid of like the consequences of space travel. So in the sense of like you're able to just kind of like move between here and Mars or here and the moon like super easily. So there's no consequences. You can kind of like go as quickly as you want to that location and get there. But just because like I want to visit the planets, I reckon that'd be awesome. Maybe even take away the consequences of space. So like the fact that there's no vacuum, get rid of that.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, that you can just kind of like you can breathe or whatever it might be. It's like an easy travel.
So you want to be like John Carter or something?
I mean that that'd be pretty fun, honestly. Yeah, just like planet hopping would be pretty cool. Just kind of like taking away all those consequences. That, or I'd probably, if I could get rid of one thing, maybe Nickleback, perhaps.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Either the space travel or Nickleback.
I say any band that likes to talk about your pants around your feet can go in my book. And they've got a singer that looks like a paddle pop lion. The old paddle pop lion on the Chad Kroger. And Chad Kroger as a name, it sounds like you're taking a dump. I'm just gonna go take a Chad Kroger. You know what I mean? My favorite thing about Nickleback is nothing about Nickleback. I don't know if you know this, Damien, but there's a Canadian Nickelback cover band called Knuckleback.
Oh my gosh.
I really love that. I love that so much. And they're so much better than the real thing.
There's only like one good song and then that's it. Yeah.
What's in your opinion, what's a good song?
Oh, from Nickelback? It's probably like This Is How You Remind Me. That's okay, yeah, and even then when I say good, I mean good for Nickelback.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of their I mean, you're talking to two musicians. I'm an ex-musician at the moment. Jamie's the current musician. So
very good.
Nickelback, like there was a song, Pants Around Your Feet, Rockstar, Photograph. They all sounded the same. Yeah. Hero. Oh, that was on the Spider-Man soundtrack.
Yeah, Hero has some kind of vibes to it, but you got to watch it in the right context.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I can only listen to it while I'm watching Spider-Man. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's it.
But then one of my favorite, I don't know if you call it a meme, but like it was a Nickleback video, and they do the look at this photograph, but they'd cut out photo, and I mean, look at this graph.
Look at this graph.
Look at this graph.
Look at this graph.
Yeah.
That's such a good meme. Oh my gosh.
I think Nickelback have had their time, and I think they just need to lay it to rest.
But then, did you see the PG Deadpool, the Christmas special thingy they did?
Yeah.
Deadpool. They redid Deadpool 2, but PG, and they filmed an extra half hour. And
and it was Deadpool telling like a Christmas carol kind of.
Oh yes, yeah.
It was basically Princess Bride, but Deadpool, and he defended Nickelback in that.
You know why?
I mean, that is a very Deadpool thing to do, honestly.
Well, because Ryan Reynolds is Canadian and so are Nickelback, so I think he feels a sense of pride that he has to defend any band that comes out of Canada.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's the curse on him, though. Honestly, not the rest of it.
It is. It's like he tries to say something bad about Nickelback, but then his tongue starts going green, and he just can't get the words out.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Simple Plan came out of Canada, and I know a lot of people bag out Simple Plan, but they put on a hell of a show.
They do.
I saw them with Green Day back in the day.
Oh, nice.
And they put on an amazing stage show. They don't miss a beat. They get the crowd into it. And even me, I think I was like 28 at the time, 27, 28 when I saw them.
Yeah.
I got me into it. They got me into it. I learned the songs and I was singing along, and they put on a great show. And I think, in my opinion, they're the only good band to come out of Canada.
I think maybe not necessarily Canadian bands, but definitely if I could have seen like Panic at the Disco live.
Yeah. Yep.
Like back in the heyday kind of thing. I was too young, but I would have loved to have done that. That would have been awesome.
I'll tell you what, best concert that I ever went to, it was at the SCG.
Yeah.
Are you Sydney based, Damien, or
No, I'm actually
where are
Canberra
you
based.
You Canberra, so
Yeah.
kind of. You're not too far from us.
No.
But best concert I saw was at the Sydney Cricket Ground. It was My Chemical Romance opened.
Oh, nice.
Then it was Jimmy Eat World, which was absolutely. I'd never seen Jimmy Eat World before. I love the music and they were amazing. And then Green Day. And that was like 8 hours of music that I did not. I had a seat and I wasn't sitting down for a second because Green Day played for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Jimmy Eat World pretty much played their whole. I think they only had 2 albums at the time. I think they played everything. And My Chemical Romance were. I mean, they were. People bag them again, but it's like Simple Plan. They know how to put on a show.
I mean, it must have slapped. Honestly, it must have been such 100%. a great time.
I've been to so many concerts. And I'm not even narcissistic to say my own concert was the best concert I've ever been to. But no, seriously, I've been to that many concerts over the years between being 18 and my late 30s. And that one will always be in my mind as the best show that I've ever been to. And I've seen bands like Rage Against the Machine. I've seen bands like AC/DC, The Living End. I've seen bands like Led Zeppelin. Like I've seen these guys, and they put on a great show too. But the lineup was, I did not sit down for 8 hours, and my voice was gone for work the next day, and that's how you know it's a good show.
Yeah.
But just off topic, what's probably the best concert you've ever been to, Damien?
Best concert? I haven't had the chance to be to like go to many, but probably my first one, Flight Facilities, that I went to like for myself. So they're like Aussie dance band, and went with a few mates. They just like booked out like a small theater in Sydney, and they like played all their good hits, and it was such a good time. But then they finished on like Love Is in the Air, and they got everyone to go down like really, really low and then build it up to the Love Is in the Air part. And when they did that, like they had like extra lights and extra stuff that they like kind of kept hidden for the finale. It was absolutely fantastic. Like the whole crowd was like dancing and vibing. It was actually just like amazing. And afterwards, me and my mates, we went home and stuff. We like couldn't go to sleep. It was so good.
Yeah. That's how you know it's a good concert, when you're that amped up and you're that, just so wired after such a good show that you can't go to sleep.
100%.
And I think it
sticks in my mind like to this day.
Oh, yeah. No, that's. What about you, Jamie? What would be your all-time favorite concert that you've been to? I know you've been to a lot more than I have, and what would you say?
Well, look, it's tough. Like Ben Folds live is really, really good, but then I've seen him 7 times, so I can't tell you which one was the best one.
Yeah, okay.
Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. You probably haven't heard of them. Hardly anyone's heard of them. They're a punk rock cover band, but they only play covers.
Oh,
punk rock.
Proper cover.
Yeah, but like, so it's like, imagine Blink-182 doing Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Okay.
It's like
That's such a great mashup, honestly.
I will forward you some stuff. Like, seriously,
yeah, nice. I have to check that out.
Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, they're great. They got a new album coming out in June. So look for. But I think the one that stands out the most for me was I only went for 2 bands, but the opening band blew my mind, and they were better than the other bands. That was Bayside, The Starting Line, and Amberlin.
Yeah.
Went really.
Was Bayside the opener?
Bayside was the opener. I had never heard of them
Bayside
before.
is so amazing. They're amazing.
Like, and I had never heard a single one of their songs, and I was just like, got home at like 1 a.m, had work the next day, I'd be up at 5, and I'm going like, I'm not going to bed until I get this flipping album. You know?
Yeah, like it had that much of an impact on you. You were like, I need to hear these guys.
Bayside had a big impact on me. One of the songs, they have a song called Winter, which is a really good acoustic song, and that was actually one of my mum's favorite songs because my mum used to like Good Charlotte. Like she was like she was the mum that was, we're a punk rock, and she was at my shows. Like her and my dad came to most of our shows early on.
Nice.
To watch us, just to support us. We were swear like our punk. We were proper punk rock, punk, but I swore like a sailor, and But she like got into Good Charlotte and she loved Good Charlotte, and then she heard me because I was obsessed with this song Winter, which is it's one of their acoustic songs, and it is about loss. She heard me listening to it once, and she's like, "Oh, can you put this on my?" She had one of those MP3 players, and so can you put that on for me? And she loved it. And my mum passed away 13 years ago, and we played it at her funeral. And my band actually, every time we had a chance to do like a smaller show, like a McDonald's McHappy Day or like a party or something. We would always play Winter, and that's why I knew when you said Bayside, I knew that they were going to be the openers, and I knew that for knowing you as well as I do, I knew that band would have that effect on you. I mean, I think we talked about it before, but I've forgotten because of everything. Yeah. But yeah, Bayside. Yeah, it's a weird dynamic. The singer shouldn't be as good as he is, but with in conjunction with the music and the way that they gel together, they're one of my favorite bands.
He's got a killer voice. That album, Killing Time. Phenomenal. Same thing, Fallout Boy. I've never seen Fallout Boy. I wish I have. But his voice.
Wish could have seen Fallout Boy. Yeah.
His voice,
I've seen him 3 times, and he's just as good live as he is on the CD.
It's really funny. We listen to this at work. We listen to this local radio station that cuts in and out anytime the crane moves.
My gosh!
But it's a community radio station. It's hilarious how bad it is. But we keep listening to it because it's funny. Because when no one's there, they just let it everything's on shuffle.
Yeah,
and they do this segment at lunchtime, like from 12 o'clock onwards, and it's all this live stuff. And Fallout Boy sometimes comes on. It's random. But
I think like current bands though, if I could like see Nothing But Thieves, British like rock, or like Royal Blood, maybe. If I got to see like Daft Punk before they like broke up, or Justice, the other French one, I think anything like that. Yeah, if I could see them. I'd definitely put money in to go and as close as I could to the front as well, probably.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm just going to say this right now, Ryan, that we're definitely going to beat Martin Kearns because we're 20 minutes in and we've done one icebreaker.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We haven't even started talking about video games yet. So
no, that's it.
Okay. All right. I'll get this moving along a little bit. Okay, so what's something that's on your bucket list, Damien?
I've got like a few things. It'd probably be one, go to space at some point. That'd be awesome. And come back. That's
alive.
That's critical. Alive is critical because I can't then obviously complete the rest of the stuff on my bucket. Learn an instrument, maybe like piano or synth. And then maybe do something like crazy, like fire like a minigun or something. That would be wicked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just like because I think like in America you can kind of do that. You pay some money and you can go to like a range and do that. That would be awesome.
Yeah. You can do that in Australia, but probably not a minigun.
Yeah.
I love how you've gone. I'd like to learn piano, and I'd also like to have a minigun. It's like one extreme to the other.
Now, would you shoot the minigun Chuck Norris style, like from the hips?
Oh, no. They wouldn't let me, honestly.
Hey, when it's in your hand, too late, man.
I don't know. I wouldn't even try it. I wouldn't even go that far. I'd be like, no, set it up. I just need to pull the trigger and just watch as everything goes. That's all I'd be keen to do.
Awesome.
Nice. That's pretty. I'm happy with that answer.
Yeah, maybe in the realm of like other creative stuff as well as the piano synth. Maybe like make a movie, like write a movie.
I want to do that.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, we have a friend of the podcast called Matthew Holmes. He's a director and he makes amazing films.
Yeah.
He just announced his next film, which I was like straight on to him. I'm like, dude, we need you back on the podcast.
Oh my
God. We've had him on the podcast when he did his second movie, Legend of Ben Hall, and then when he did his third movie, The Cost, which is phenomenal. The Cost, in my opinion, is one of the best movies I've seen. I own it on digital and on Blu-ray. So yeah, if you want to, it's a thriller. It's a really, really good movie. So if you haven't checked it out, it's on Prime and Apple TV. You can buy it through Apple TV. You can rent it or buy it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look this up now.
Yeah,
100%. Like seriously,
and it's a small budget, small cast.
Yeah, you couldn't tell though.
Hey, sometimes
You
those are
couldn't tell it's
the
more-
best
Dude,
movies, though.
They are the best. I'll tell you what I watched the other day.
Yeah, 100%.
A brand new film that just randomly came onto Prime. It's called Musica.
Music.
And
Yep.
it's about a dude that has that synesthesia, like where you kind of see music and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And it was brilliant. And it was a small cast, and it's like, a dude trying to maintain his relationships while he's going crazy from all the music and stuff like that. Small budget film, like some of them are the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Blair Witch
100%. I mean,
Project.
with the cost, you wouldn't you can tell. Yes, it's a small cast, but it hasn't got that small cast feel to it. It's got he has a way of doing it where you feel like when I was watching the movie, there was several times where you're like you feel like you're in the car with these guys, and there's a couple of scenes, and if you watch it, you'll understand where it's just like no, just no, this can't be happening.
There's a lot of tension.
Yeah. Well, basically, the synopsis for it is so this girl was raped and murdered, and the person who did it got out from jail early.
Yeah.
And the two people, well, one of them is the husband, and the other one, I won't spoil who it is. Oh, we'll let his brother.
Yes, that's pretty much, yeah.
It's not really a spoiler, yeah. So they're like, we're going to take revenge. We're planning it. We're going to take him. So they get him and they take him to the woods, and then it's all goes from there. So, but yeah, it's a really, really great film. I think if you go to Amazon Prime, if you've got Prime, you can rent it for like $3
I've got
or $4.
Prime. Yep.
It is absolutely amazing. I watched it the day it got released on Prime. I think it was a day when I was having a really bad pain day because I've got a fractured spine, so I have really bad pain. And so I was up at like 5 a.m. in the morning, and I was like, I just have to watch this. And Matt's a really weird guy. He's normally up at weird hours. So I put on Facebook at 5 a.m. or 20 minutes in. I said, I'm absolutely loving this movie. And within like 2 minutes, I had a comment back from him saying, thanks, man. I hope you enjoy the rest of it. He's such a good down-to-earth guy too. He's just like, as I said, I said, we need to get you back on the podcast to talk about that. And he's like, yeah, sure, no dramas. So he's just such a down-to-earth guy. And, the movies have won awards. And, yeah, man, if you just check it out. If you love a good thriller, check it out. It was probably the best hour and 45 minutes I'd seen in a long time. So
he is a very diverse director too, because he's done film set in the 40s, I believe. He's done a bushranger film, best bushranger film I've seen. Legend of Ben Hall. Check it out; it is phenomenal.
That one, Damien, is actually, and our listeners, is on SBS View. You watch it for free. You can actually watch it for free. But yeah, Twin Rivers, the first movie, he kindly sent me. When he found out that I wanted it, I couldn't find it anywhere. I was trying. I looked everywhere. I found the other two, Legend of Ben Hall and The Cost. I bought both of them. He kindly sent me a Blu-ray copy with a actual a cell drawing from the movie.
Oh wow!
So that's the kind of guy he is. Sent it to me for nothing. Didn't even want postage money. Just sent it to me. So
I feel like I've heard of Twin Rivers, but.
Yeah, it's an old film. It's pretty old.
It's him and his brother. It's Matt Holmes and his brother in it. It's about two guys in the 40s that are just sort of, the war's kind of breaking out and they're kind of out of work and they're on a journey to try and find themselves, really.
But don't forget who else is in it. Don't forget who else is in it.
Who do? He's like the Deadpool of
we make the joke all the
Matthew
time.
Holmes' movie.
Yeah, there's a guy that he always gets in all his films called Adam Wilson.
Nice.
One day we'll get him on the podcast because we talk about him almost as much as Henry Cavill.
Right. Kind of like Michael Caine to Christopher Nolan then or something.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Like he's always got a small part. We always the first question to Matthew Holmes when we go on the line. So is he in this movie? Is he going to be in this movie? You know?
Yeah.
We always say, and then he's like, well, as you say, he's like, So, but no, he's a cool. Check him out. You can find all his movies on Facebook, but
awesome.
Definitely, I would recommend The Cost.
Okay, The Cost.
$5 for a movie, man. It's not nothing to sort of.
Yeah,
that's a cup of coffee. So definitely check it out. Hey, anyway, we're doing good, Jamie. We're getting that time limit up.
Anyway, third question. Okay, so what in your opinion, what is the greatest sitcom ever made?
Okay, I'm actually going to take out. Yeah.
I will say, and I normally do this question, but I do say, you can tell us in your opinion what the greatest sitcom is of all time. And if that is not your favorite, you can tell us what your favorite is as well. That's how we like to play it.
Yeah. I think that's what I'll have to do. I'll probably say, like, I think the greatest is Seinfeld.
Okay.
Yep. But it's not my favorite. Only because I got like super emotional at the end of another sitcom, which was quite hard for me. It was Parks and Recreation.
Nice.
So Parks and Recreation has like a really soft spot. I mean, The Office is also just fantastic as well. There's a lot of great moments in there too, but I think like characters like Andy and like Leslie Knope and stuff, just how they were so like well written. There was so many great character moments. Ron Swanson.
I was just about to say, how can you not mention Ron Swanson?
Like I could just sit down and just watch a character for hours and not be bored because they're so fascinating.
My favorite Ron Swanson moment from that show is when him and I don't know if it was his girlfriend or whatever, they went to the supermarket and they found a vegan bacon place or something.
Okay.
So they were giving out the samples.
Yes.
He picked it up and threw it in the bin. And she's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "There's 3 samples." And he's like, "I'll have another." And then the girl with him did the exact same thing. And they just kept throwing it in the bin. And I could not stop laughing. Seriously, man. Like that is my favorite Ron Swanson moment.
I think when he goes to like the restaurant and he's like, "I'll have all of your like
all your eggs and bacon."
All your eggs and bacon. And they're like, "Yeah, cool." And he's like, "No, I don't think you understand me. I mean all of your eggs and bacon." Like he just like makes that point. Yeah.
That just makes me want to go and watch it again.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes when he's like flipped the script. So, for example, when he's like, "I'm going to sit here and eat this steak and drink this whiskey because that's what I can do, and smoke the cigar." And they're like, "So you'll have to smoke the cigar outside." He's like, "I will do that after outside." Like he still has those moments where he's like, "Well, I'll do it outside then, I guess." Great show though. Yeah, I absolutely love Parks and Rec.
Yeah, Parks and Rec. I've only watched it all the way through once, so I think I'm keen for a rewatch. I think it's still on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken, so I'm going to check it out for sure. That's a great show. Ron Swanson, he's like, I mean, I know that got such a great cast of people in it anyway, but Ron Swanson is just like, he is the reason why I watch it.
And they got super lucky with Chris Pratt as well.
100%.
Like
100%.
Andy, particularly when he like becomes his FBI character. And just his like jokes and stuff, like that was clearly where he obviously took off from. We saw him then in Guardians and a whole bunch of other stuff since. But whatever kind of magic and gold they had kind of conjured up to create Parks and Rec and get all the right cast, I think it was a blip in time where you can say, that was like perfection.
Yeah,
100%. I could not agree more. Well done. Well answered. Well answered. Okay, so what my question now to you is, in the event of a zombie apocalypse, what's your plan? What would you do?
Caveats. What kind of zombies are we talking about? Are we talking about like slow shambling ones or like sprinters?
No, we're talking about we're talking about
all the zombies,
all of the types of zombies.
Someone from the Umbrella Corporation has been mixing the petri dishes together, and we've got all of them.
It's the zombie verse.
Yeah, it's the zombie verse.
Oh dear, that's awful.
Even the zombies from my book.
Yeah, the zombies from Jamie's book that no one knows about.
What type of zombies do you have in your book? Just so I can get a like clear picture.
No. Well, they're pretty much they're the standard. They're the standard like Walking Dead ones, but how they infect is different. You know.
Oh, okay.
Not by bite.
How do they infect then? Just so I can prepare for that.
They have sex with you.
Oh my. Oh my. No. I wanted to do something different that probably annoys everyone zombies, but my thing is that it's a chemical through the water supply. So if you that's how they killed off the mutants in Logan. So
hey, no, I'm just saying, you know what my qualm is with that book of yours. There's not enough of Ryan, the Uber Eats driver. No. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
There's not enough Ryan, the Uber driver.
I'm working on 2 more. We've been through this. I'm not going to argue with it.
Yeah, but until I see a draft, I'm not convinced.
Well, I've nearly finished the draft of the second book. You're not in that book because I've told you because it runs parallel with the first one. Unless you want to be in two
Doesn't
places
matter.
at once.
I'm only in the first one for like this much time. I can go to the hen tonight as well and deliver some food. What have the fans want more Ryan the Uber Eats driver?
Anyway, to answer your question, David.
Yes.
It's the water supply. So if you drink water, then you turn into a zombie.
Yeah, right. Okay. Oh my gosh.
But rainwater's fine. It's just like town water.
Yeah, town water. Okay. Yeah.
But you know what that means though? You know what that means?
What?
All the fat people that don't, like myself, that don't drink much water. Well, I drink a hell of a lot of water. But all the people that don't drink water, the unhealthy people, are going to be the people that are fine. But then the zombies are going to be easy prey for the zombies.
Exactly. One of the rules of Zombieland is cardio.
Cardio, 100%.
I guess. Okay. So my plan would be you got to get to food source. So to be like take over a Coles or a Woolies or an Aldi, just like something big has a food source, shutter everything, and then if you're nearby, like maybe like a Bunnings or something, basically start trying to like build a way to kind of have a perfect tunnel in between the two, so you can just kind of walk there easy peasy. But then go Mad Max style and start like creating your own weird weapons and your own weird like armor and cars and stuff. And just kind of go to town, just like roam around town, just kind of having fun. I think that would be my zombie plan. It'd be survival first and then turn survival into fun. Because otherwise, like, what's the point? Like, if you're just going to do it to survive, but you're not enjoying yourself while you're also, stomping zombies, like, you got to enjoy yourself.
Well, that was my plan. Go to Bunnings.
Go to Bunnings.
But that's the standard
Go
plan.
to Bunnings.
You know, the problem is
that was always
everyone's going to go to Bunnings.
Everyone's going to Bunnings.
Someone's going to be infected.
Everyone's going to go. Look, everyone's going to go to food as well. Everyone's going to be like, "Oh, we're hungry. We need water that'll turn us into zombies." And
yes.
Quick question, Jamie: If you're a zombie and you drink the water that turns you into zombie, does that then turn you back to human?
No, it turns into Chuck Norris.
Oh dear.
My God.
Is it zombie Chuck Norris?
Zombie Norris.
Chuck Norris?
Oh, that would be awful. That would be the worst.
No.
That'd be awesome. But zombie Chuck Norris, he'd still be badass.
Yeah, except you have to go up against him.
No, 100%. Because they say that if a zombie bites Chuck Norris, the zombie turns into Chuck Norris.
Oh my gosh. So it's an infection of Chuck
that.
Norris's. That would be insane.
That'd be cool. Imagine like a ward of Chuck Norris's.
Yeah.
I'd give up. I'd be like, yeah, just bite me, turn me into Chuck Norris, whatever.
I just go up to all of them and go, how was it playing Walker Texas Ranger?
Yeah.
How was it playing Walker Texas Ranger? I just throw them off and then stab them in the guts.
It wouldn't work. It's Chuck Norris.
It wouldn't work. It's Chuck Norris. It's
you know what? I tried and stab him and it just melt the knife.
That's it.
It's that.
No zombie Chuck Norrises, please.
No.
It'd be that scene from Supernatural season 4, episode 1, where they meet Castiel and they stab him with a demon knife, and he just pulls it out slowly.
Oh wow. Okay, that's pretty wild.
Yeah. Anyway, so Mr. Elon Musk calls you up and offers you to test drive his new electric time machine.
Yep.
What do you do? Where do you go?
I had a thought about this. I think I'd probably do like one of a couple of things. First, for a bit of maybe like a couple of things to troll, I'd go back in time to every point someone created an invention and then claim it as my own.
Unfortunately,
and just kind of be like, I did this.
Unfortunately, sir, the rules are you can only go to one place.
Oh, one place?
And come back. Yes.
One place.
You're the kind of guy. You're the kind of guy that goes, you've got 3 wishes. Oh, I wish for more wishes. You greedy son of a bitch.
I'd wish for more genies. More genies would probably be more wishes.
There's a way. The way around it is you go back to just before you've been asked to do a test drive and you steal that.
Oh,
yeah, it's a loop.
Yeah.
Do I get to come back as well, or do I just get to go there?
Forwards and back.
Forwards and back.
You got a like a watch thing on your arm that you push and it brings you back to the exact time you left.
Yeah, nice. I'd probably go into the future then. Yeah, like 1,000 years, 10,000. Like just jump to a ridiculous time that no one's ever seen, because everybody's like seeing the past kind of thing. Like you can read in books, you can see in movies, but I'd go forward. I go as far forward as I could without like reaching the end of the earth when it just kind of explodes or something.
Well,
and see what's there and then go back.
Well, you probably have to get someone to do the math on how much juice is left in the sun.
yeah. Well, it's like 4 billion years, so like maybe 2.5 billion in the future. I don't know. Something like that. Just go to that right point in the future.
Yeah.
You get to see everything. You like maybe take some souvenirs and stuff. And they're like, oh, we all have time machines now. I'd buy more time machines. And then that's how I'd go back into the past and stuff. No.
There we go.
But yeah, probably the future. I think that'll be wild to kind of see like what happens to us technologically or anything like that. That'd be so much fun.
Okay.
Maybe we'll have flying cars by then.
I mean,
or hoverboards.
Yeah, hoverboards. Definitely, if I could find the time where they get the hoverboard, 100%. Is that, by the way, with the time machine as an electric vehicle, is it also like a DeLorean or is it like a Tesla?
We have never actually described it.
Okay. No. You need to. It's not a Tesla. It's it's kind of like a DeLorean, but you do need a flux capacitor.
Yeah,
to make it all work.
It's the Go Gadget Mobile.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it is.
Does it have like wood paneling down the sides as well?
It can. It's a what's that comedian say?
It can look at anything you like.
It's that Dimitri Martin, the comedian Dimitri Martin. He says,
"Yes,
I've got a time machine in my lounge room. It's a cardboard box and it moves in real time."
Oh,
nice.
Good old Dimitri Martin. Do like his stuff.
Yeah, have you seen his new special?
No, I didn't even know he had a new
it's
special.
on Netflix.
Okay.
It's not bad. There's a few killer jokes in there. Some of it's I've always found he's hit and miss. I love him, but he's always some jokes just don't land like others.
Sure. No, I watched a lot of his like earlier stuff. And he like brings out the guitar and the harmonica and stuff, and just starts like in between jokes playing music.
Yes. He is the king of one-liners.
Definitely. What's that other guy from England who does a lot of one-liners?
Jimmy Carr.
No, Jimmy Carr has a bunch like that, but there's he like has.
I love Jimmy Carr.
I can't remember his name. I've seen a bunch of his stuff as well. He does one where he has like a sign, and it says BNAG, and he's like Benag. That's bang out of order. Great, great stuff like that. It's like it's like mint.
I love it.
Wow.
Yes, that's like my favorite. I think it's Jim Owen.
Jim Owen's good.
Jim Owen's one of his greatest jokes ever is he just comes out on stage and he just walks around aimlessly. Yes. And then he goes, "Oh, sorry, I'm just trying to find the funniest part of the stage."
Funniest part of the stage.
And then they laugh and he'll go off and he'll talk and he'll run back to the stage.
Yeah, it gets a laugh.
At that point, yeah.
Because it's so good. Or his moth joke, I think. Or it's so good.
Yeah. Ryan looks impressed.
It takes a lot, and I used to really love my comedy, but it takes a lot to make me laugh nowadays. And fair. I watch a lot of comedian specials, but sometimes I'm just like, like my horror movies. Like horror movies, they don't scare. Like I haven't been scared by a horror movie in 30 odd years.
In a while,
and I keep hoping, I keep praying that I'll find something that will scare the crap out of me, but it just doesn't happen. Yeah, and I'm just watching all these. Not to say that the movies aren't good, but they're just not. To me, they don't scare me like they scare other people.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get you.
But yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next part of the interview.
This podcast is brought to you by Martin Kearns and the Valor of Valhalla series. In the battle between two ancient evils, can one naive young man become the last hope against powerful creatures of legend? Beneath the Veil is the gripping first book in the Valor of Valhalla dark urban fantasy series. If you like reluctant heroes, infernal myths, and bloody epic clashes, then you'll love Martin Kearns' formidable foray into the unknown. So head on over to readkearns.com and grab yourself a copy of Beneath the Veil today.
So I'll get a cuppa and I'll sit down for the next little bit.
No. I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna mix it up because I think the order should be a little bit different.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm gonna do, we are gonna talk video games. So calm down, people listening at home.
Yeah.
But what I want to start with is, so where did it all begin? So how did you get into writing? What made you want to write? What are some of your main influences? That kind of stuff. So just as I said, we don't have a structure. Let's just have a chat. Tell us about how you got started, and what got you thinking. I can do this I can become an author.
Yeah. So
aside from just writing notes down.
No, of course. Probably as a kid growing up, like reading a lot of books. I loved books. My mum can attest to that. And I read a lot of fantasy. Del Toro Quest was one of the early stuff as a kid that I read. But I was probably getting to like 10 or 11, and I wanted to see like The Lord of the Rings in cinemas. And Mum had a rule. She was like, you can't watch a movie until you've read the book. And I was like, okay, that's fair. I'll follow that. So I read the entire trilogy. I was about 10 or 11. I read it, and I come back and I go, Mum, I finished the book and I finished the whole thing. And she's like, okay, but you might not know everything, so read it again. I was like, all right, I'll do it again. And so I read it a second time, and I come back and I'm like, all right, can I watch the movies now? And she's like, no, not yet. You've got to read it a third time. 3 times the charm. There are 3 books. You got to read them 3 times. I was like, are you kidding me? Okay, I'll read it. So I read The Lord of the Rings 3 times before I'd turned 12. And then I finally come back. I'm like, Mum, you got to let me watch. And she's like, you're not 15. You can't watch it yet.
Oh.
That's how I felt with Jurassic Park.
That was the moment. And that was the moment he was emancipated from his parents.
But I was probably like 12, and the ideas of like what I'd been reading started to manifest into my own kind of ideas. I started scribbling like little stories and little ideas of worlds and characters and things. And it was probably around the time I was 12 when I had the story, the kind of initial outline, the bare bones of what will become the book I've eventually written and published. And so I started working on it. And I just kind of, as a kid, just kind of wrote whenever I got a chance in like notebooks and things. And as I got older, maybe around 16, I started to like type it out onto like the computer and stuff. And I actually started to kind of go, I think I might have something. There's like elements of all these little bits of elements of influences over the years that had kind of started to trickle into what I had wanted to put out, which was the love of fantasy that I had growing up. I wanted to put something back into that world, give something back. And yeah, probably like continuing on from there, I really started to kind of think about it a lot and write like a lot. And by the time I turned 18, I'd actually like finished a draft or 2 of like a full novel. It was quite short, maybe somewhere between like 60,000, 70,000 words. And but I finished a draft, and I was like, this actually could be something I could give my, put a hard go into. And Mum and my dad were encouraging me a lot. And so like I started to think, okay, well, if I'm telling this like one story, what's the overarching story? What's like more to this? And so one book became 3, became an idea for a trilogy, because I was like, Lord of the Rings, love Lord of the Rings. It's a trilogy. Yeah. Star Wars trilogy, brilliant. Yeah. There's so many things that were golden as a trilogy. And I got a bit older, maybe like 18, 19. I started going to university around 19, 20. And the 3 became a 5.
Yep.
And I was like, the story I wanted to tell it's bigger. It's bigger than a 3. I started introducing more characters, more complex themes. And then again, as I kind of got a bit older again throughout uni, 5 became a 7. Became like a 7-book idea. And then 7 eventually, by the time I was like 25, 7 became an 8-book series. And all the way back, like when I was 12 years old, that's kind of like where that first little blip of an idea had come from. And so I just kind of kept plugging away. And after finishing uni, I actually did a degree in creative writing as well through the University of Canberra. And my grandpa, funnily enough, my granddad on my dad's side, he'd also completed that degree like ages ago. So it was like a weird kind of family thing going on. But I finally got to the end, and I was about 28, and I had finished writing it, multiple drafts. I'd finished editing it to as best as it could be under my own, weight. And I've been, kind of lightly querying for quite a few years, putting in submissions to places, and eventually, Shawline took a bit of a gamble and picked it up. And at that point, what was maybe like a 50 to 60, 70,000 word original story I had come up with ages ago was now about 286,000.
Wow.
So I kind of went off the deep end in regards to like telling an epic fantasy. And I even broke, like, throughout uni, my mentor, he had given like a list of 10 things what not to do for your first book. And a bunch of them were: don't write a book over 100,000 words. Don't have like more than 3 books in your series planned. Don't write a book with more than 2 characters who like you follow the point of view from. Everything he said, I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something completely different. And yeah, that's kind of where I ended up in regards to this book. And it's been influenced, I guess, like not just by Tolkien, all the fantasy I read. So, I've got Martin, Paolini, Rothfuss, the big ones, David Eddings as well. But I also started to take influence.
Okay, we have to stop there because you're one of the. My grandmother got me into David Eddings.
Yeah,
and you are like one of the only other people that I have ever spoken to that like say that David Eddings is one of your influences.
I think he's critical. Yeah, to at least to me, and like storytelling and stuff. Definitely, like a lot of people don't like him. I get it.
I honestly, my favorite is the Belgariad series. Belgarath. But so I started. My grandmother was like your mother. She said she had all of them, right?
Yeah.
And she had not just the Belgariad, everything like the other stuff as well. And I was about 12, 13, and I said I was into fantasy, and so she didn't want me to start me with Belgarath because that's like a monster. So she said start with Porn of Prophecy, the first book where obviously you meet Gary and you meet the old wolf and starts the story along. And then I think I read that in a period of a week. And I was like, okay, what's next? And then she gave me Queen of Sorcery, and then Magician's Gambit, all those ones.
It just kind of kept coming.
It did. And then once I'd read the whole series, I said, I want more of this story. And she said, well, there's 2 other books. There's Belgarath, which was a monster hardcover.
Yeah.
I think it was huge. And she lent me that. And then she also lent me Polgara story as well, which is absolutely amazing. So thank you for being someone who actually likes David Eddings, because every time I talk to fantasy writers, no one seems to have heard of them, or they all don't like him.
Yeah.
And I absolutely grew up on the Belgariad, and I've read it probably about 100 times. So,
the Belgariad, I think, is the epitome of, like, obviously Tolkien kind of grandfathered the classic fantasy, but the epic fantasy. But I think Eddings with the Belgariad really, that is, in my mind, the center point of classic fantasy.
Yeah. 100%, man.
And I vibed with it so much.
It's got. I mean, you can tell he's got influences from Tolkien, because obviously you've got the party that eventually becomes the chosen ones from all different races throughout the worlds, and the Riven King and everything. It's bringing it all back to me now. I not only do I own all of them in hardcover, I own them in soft cover, I own them digitally, and I own the audio books as well. The audio books are amazing. If you can just turn off all your lights, like with me at the moment, I pretty much spend a lot of my time in this really nice recliner. So what I like to do to fall asleep, because I sleep in this at the moment, I lay back with my headphones and I put on an audio book. I've actually got The Lord of the Rings read by Andy Serkis, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
not only does he obviously does the Gollum and Smeagol voices, but he does all the voices. He does Frodo, he does Legolas, Aragorn. And if there's two different versions you get, and I remember speaking to our friend Michael, I said, dude, I really want to listen to Lord of the Rings on the audiobook. And he's like, dude, you need to get the Andy Serkis ones. And I'm like, as soon as he said Andy Serkis, I'm like, okay. But I mean, I just like to lay back and just in the dark and just put the my as I said, I love your headphones. Mine, I've got because I'm actually deaf, 90% deaf, so headphones are a big thing for me. So I have the Sony WMX's 500, and I just lay back and lights off, and I just listen. Yeah. And the ambience on it, man, especially on the Belgariad as well, with all the different races and all the different gods like Belar and stuff like that. When they're actually doing the voices of the gods, and Torak, and it's just amazing. And I can do the same with the Lord of the Rings with Andy Serkis. You lay back and you can just be in that world. And, that's what we need. Obviously, I'm not working at the moment. You guys are probably, I know Jamie's working and stuff. And so we've got a hard enough life as it is with everything. And if you can just take a couple of hours every night just to get out of the world for a while, man, that's worth more than money in my opinion.
100%.
Just back on that Andy Serkis audiobook, is there a version where the whole thing is read by Gollum?
No, there's not, unfortunately. No, sorry, Jamie.
I don't know how long that people would last.
I love Gollum and I love Andy Serkis and Gollum, but I don't think I could listen to because the audiobook itself, I think is like
10 hours,
21, 22 hours. I don't think I could do Gollum for that long. Sorry for the diversion. For people watching at home, I'm actually fixing my air conditioner. But yeah, I couldn't listen to 22 odd hours of Gollum. And I don't think Andy Serkis, as brilliant as he is, could do 22 hours for each book.
Oh no, he'd destroy his voice 100%. He would never be able to talk again.
No, or that is all he would be able to.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
He just becomes that voice.
Okay, we'll double the length. We'll double the length of the audiobook by making him talk like Caesar from Planet of the Apes.
But no, honestly, you know how much I'm in love with Henry Cavill. If the Lord of the Rings audiobook came out read by Henry Cavill, I would still buy the Andy Serkis one. Every day of the week. You know my obsessive crush over Henry Cavill. So
everyone knows.
Now I'm very disappointed that he still hasn't come out of the closet, and him and his wife him and his girlfriend are now expecting a baby. I'm still waiting for him to come over to our team.
That could be a cover. No, that could be a cover.
Yeah. Well, as you know, as you might not know this, Damien, myself, I'm gay. I was married I was with my partner, who is still my very best friend, and my carer. God, I don't really believe, no offense, but I'm not a religious person. But I say to Jamie, if God does exist, He sent Stephanie to me for a reason. Yeah. Because not only were we were together for 10 years, we were married, and then I came out to her, and I think she was angry for a total of about 8 hours, and then she just realized that she's my best friend, and we're each other's best friends, and we're going to be in each other's lives. We have no issue living with her, and we love each other. But anyway, she looks after me and everything like that. But she also supports my obsession with Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Because she has an unhealthy obsession, as Jamie knows, with Keanu Reeves. Yes. Because Jamie has bought Jamie is the master of Christmas and birthday gifts. She bought, so not only has, because I'm a massive Batman fan, and we'll get to that.
Yeah,
he manages to get me the amazing Batman stuff for my. He managed to track down an LP record of Batman 66.
Oh my god!
Which I'm not playing. It's still wrapped up with Adam West and Burt Ward.
Wow!
On the front. But my best friend Stephanie, my ex-wife Stephanie, she loves Keanu Reeves, so he's got her a life-size standee cutout of Keanu.
Oh my god!
He bought her a book of, they're called Keanuisms.
Oh my goodness!
So they're all different things. And I actually have this here on my desk because she kindly let me use it. A calendar of Keanu Reeves. Yeah, so
very nice.
Different Keanu on every from each movie. that he's been in. It's different. There's a really good one of him on a motorbike. So
yeah.
What's the cardboard cutout version of him? Is that like from a movie, or is it just him?
Well, it's in her bedroom. So
It's just him in a grey suit, I think.
Not John Wick, but like in a grey suit.
Yeah.
You know, looking dapper.
And I will say it is getting harder and harder every year because there is only so much Keanu memorabilia.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm glad that he became a meme when he's just like, "I love you."
Yeah.
So like that random audience member, that was great.
Yeah.
You're breathtaking.
Yeah.
But at least Jamie's got you pretty much got me for life until we're around 90s with Batman stuff. Because there's just so much out there. But yeah, I don't know how we got onto that, but it was me interrupting you. It was me interrupting you about David Eddings, but go back to
No, it's all good. Look, honestly, I think if I could get Keanu or Cavill to like star as a character in my book, I'd do it 100%. I'd be like, yes, please.
Let's go into that. Tell us about your book. What's the plot?
No. When Keanu is when Henry Cavill and I get engaged, I'll make sure he's in the movie adaptation of your book. Okay, I promise you that, Damien. That is my promise to you. That is my quest. I now have a little
quest icon above your head.
This is my quest icon. It's just popped up in my HUD saying find Henry Cavill for Damien Francis book movie.
There's a side quest attached which says meet Henry Cavill first.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I've met him many times. He just hasn't met me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just hasn't seen me. I've been in the bushes. But so David Eddings, you were saying like obviously Tolkien, a lot of inspirations.
And then like influences like Stephen King for horror.
Yes.
Lee Child for thriller.
Yes.
Matthew Riley for action.
Yeah. Oh man, seriously, I have not met anyone who loves Matthew Riley.
I love Matthew Riley.
Dude, what's your favorite Matthew Riley book?
Ice Station, hands down, Ice Station. It's the pinnacle. It is the pinnacle.
It really is. I was about to say it at the same time, but I thought, he's not going to say Ice Station. Because a lot, like I've read again with him. I've got all the audio, all the hardcover, the Scarecrow series, everything, man. Like Matthew Riley is.
I personally look at Contest, the first one he ever did.
Yes.
As the example of what all authors should try and go after, which is he just wrote what he wanted to write.
Yeah,
100%. He just told the story as bonkers as 100%. Contest is, as insanely action based with like there's no break. He doesn't like slow down at all.
No.
For a book, it shouldn't work technically according to all laws of like how you should lead the audience with like pace and things. He was like, I'm just going to do it as fast as I want. Yeah. Contest is honestly like I look at it, I'm like, that's what every author should do. If you're a writer and you're trying to break in your first book, like write what you really want to write, 100%. What you love.
Contest isn't actually a long book either.
No,
it's quite short. And the fact that you go into it and halfway through the book you're thinking it's one thing.
Yep.
And then it just pretty much spins itself on its head.
It becomes a whole nother.
Completely changes. Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I didn't read Contest. I think I read it quite late. I got onto Ice Station was the first one I've read and probably the one that I've read the most.
It's honestly the one most people start with. Yeah,
it is, and because you can, even though it's part of. I'm so sorry, my memory over the last year is gone. What's the name of the main character? Is it Jack West? Is that Jack West?
No, the Jack West Jr. is from his Jack West Jr. books, like the 8 Wonders of the World. I think.
That's it.
I think it's Shane Schofield.
That's Shane Schofield. I knew it was in there. And even though it is part of his series of books, you can read Ice Station by itself. And basically, Jamie, what it is exactly what it is. It's an ice station that's been taken over by terrorists.
Yeah.
And because it's Matthew Riley's spy stuff and like action packed like that. It's been taken over by terrorists, and it's about this one guy who gets there. And I think from memory, I think his wife or his daughter or something was on the station. I'm not 100% sure. Haven't read it for a couple of years. And then he goes in there and he full John McClane's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he just, yeah.
Man,
I'm going to read that again.
If you've ever wanted to kind of picture a liquid nitrogen grenade killing like
Yes.
20 of the best British SAS dudes.
Yes.
Alien spacecrafts. Like elephant seals killing orca whales.
Yeah.
Hovercraft racing across ice.
Yeah. Oh man.
Amazing shootouts. Like if you've ever kind of thought, I kind of want to see that. Ice Station has like all of that.
Yeah.
And
well, that's what it is. Ice Station is essentially like a lot. It's like an Area 51 kind of lockdown government facility. And yeah, man, seriously, I'm surprised that Matthew Riley has not made any of his books into movies.
I think he actually came out and spoke about it and said if I was to turn any one of my books into an actual film, it would break all budgets.
Yeah,
he honestly recognizes that it's not going to happen under current budget like restraints. He'd be like, it'd have to be like 500 mil just to kind of get the movie made.
Yeah.
But you know what, Jamie? You know what? I could picture. Jamie's a big fan of Alan Richardson from Jack Reacher. I could picture him as Shane Schofield, like
definitely,
He would if you were to ever, even if you made it into a TV show or like they did eventually get a big budget movie, Alan Richardson, like the way that he plays Jack Reacher, is
love
amazing.
The Reacher show, honestly.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, and then he would be the perfect Shane Schofield for Ice Station. I would love to see that made into a show or a movie or something. Yeah, man. Sorry to interrupt you again. I don't meet many people who like these books.
No, it's all good, man.
It's really hard because like these are authors that I love them so much that I can read their books once a year.
Oh yeah,
and the same with David Eddings. Like I can read the Belgariad in a year, and you know what I mean. Like, and
100%.
that's sentimental. Yeah. So I apologize for interrupting you, but
no. Please, it's all good.
But yeah, Lee Child obviously is another amazing, action-packed espionage writer. Stephen King, man, you speaking my language. My favorite horror authors are Stephen King and Dean Koontz. And if you could, Stephen King. The fact that he is the age that he is and he's still churning out at least a book a year, that man is just, we need to bottle what he has, you know what I'm saying?
He's a writing machine, honestly. He gets up, goes to work, which is 9 to 5 writing. And I'm like, I don't know how he does it. He's so rich he doesn't need to do it, and yet he still does it. He's like, I've got another idea. I'll just pop it in.
Well, that's like, I figure he's like Stan Lee was. Stan Lee didn't need to make, and Stan Lee was so humble. If you see the house that he was living in, it's just like a small 3-bedroom house, but he didn't need the money, but he just loved doing it so much that he just keeps doing it. And Stephen King, like his movies and TV shows have been touch and go. Some of them are good and some of them are horrible.
That's it. Shawshank Redemption, though.
Oh man, Shawshank Redemption is the number one. And obviously the Green Mile is another one of my favorites.
Yep.
That adaptation was pretty much spot on. I do like the original, and a lot of people don't like it, but I found it on Blu-ray when the new TV show came out. But the original miniseries for The Stand. Is one of my all-time favorite. The very first one, with Jamie Sheridan from Law and Order fame as the devil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like and the new one is great because another one of my celebrity crushes, Eric Skarsgård, plays against the devil, if you want to say so, in the new adaptation of The Stand. And then you've got It. Like, how can you go past It? The original, the new movies are not so great, but the original is fantastic. Like the miniseries when they used to do miniseries out of Stephen King stuff was just
with Tim Curry. Tim Curry's Pennywise.
Tim Curry. Like I know Bill Skarsgård is scary as all fuck. In the new 100%. Ones, and I will give it to him. Like Bill Skarsgård is that guy now who is going to be the horror guy because he's got that face and that voice. And I will give it to him. But the Tim Curry will be my Pennywise because I find him just so much scarier, so much more intense than Bill Skarsgård was.
He's scary. He's scary even when he's not. Dressed as a clown.
That's true.
I love him. I love him.
He's the old school. He's the old school Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, 100%. It's like me and Jamie and Chris had this argument about Spider-Man 1. You have cast Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin. Yep. Why do you put a mask on that face? That face looks like a scariest goblin I've ever. That scene where he jumps out of the tank where he's just been infused with the goblin serum.
Yeah.
It's more scarier
Iconic.
than that stupid freaking robotic mask
Yeah,
that he had
yeah.
on. You know
Well,
what I
isn't
mean?
that why, like, then for when he came back, they like didn't put a mask on his face, and
they
it was.
destroyed. They had that. Yeah.
There's honestly that little moment where the third Spider-Man film, No Way Home, where it switches from superhero to a horror, just briefly.
Yeah.
When Spider-Man like gets the kind of like something's wrong, and he like pins Green Goblin to the wall, and Defoe's face changes. Yeah. And everything changes, and you're like, why do I feel so uncomfortable right now? Like,
and
why am I getting goosebumps?
That face, man, like the fact that he can go from like I want to be back to normal and all that kind of thing,
please.
To him just like he just grabbed him and just the smile. The smile on Defoe's face, and then you're like, okay, shit's about to get real.
And then the absolute beatdown he gave Spider-Man.
Oh man, seriously.
Through building. Wow.
And apparently on set, he seriously terrified Tom Holland and Zendaya.
Yeah.
Like they would just freak out on set.
I'm not surprised.
Freaked out by him.
I mean, like one of the sorry. Oh, I was going to say one of the movies that like shocked me at how good Defoe is, but also Robert Pattinson was The Lighthouse by Robert Eggers. Oh my goodness. I was blown away by the character and the direction of that film. That was amazing.
I really liked that, and I only watched it because I like my horror, my psychological horror as well. I don't like Robert Pattinson. I'm not a fan, and that's not just because of Twilight. Like it's not his fault. That was bad writing. But I'm just saying I don't like him. I don't enjoy him as an actor, and that which pains me to say because Batman is my favorite superhero. Yeah. But he was okay in that. He was tolerable to me in that film.
Sure.
But that movie, I think Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson had more creative freedom to do what they needed to do, so that I felt like it was more authentic. It was more. He was working with Dafoe, like obviously taking his 10s of 20s of 30s of years of acting experience.
Yeah.
And being able to put on a performance that actually got me interested. So I did actually like Pattinson in that movie, in The Lighthouse. Jamie, if you haven't seen it, you should check it out, man. It's amazing.
It's a bit more artsy than other horror films. It really is. It's filmed in like a specific ratio that's kind of like a square, and it's in black and white.
Black and white.
But a lot of it is also filmed with like time period accurate language, how they talked. And Robert Eggers went to great lengths. It was brilliant. I enjoyed it the whole way through.
Well, speaking, I know we're getting way off track. I don't care though. Right. Speaking of Willem Dafoe, have you seen? I believe it's called Inside. Have you seen that movie, Damien?
The art movie.
Yeah. So basically, he's a famous.
He's a famous one on Netflix or something. Yeah, he's a famous. I really want to see that. Yeah, it's on my list.
Pretty much him. It's pretty much another him by himself in the whole movie, and I think it really captured the descent of madness. You know how the Joaquin Phoenix Joker is really about society twisting him and turning him into that figure.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a psychological depth of someone going into madness, and he's basically a famous art thief, and he breaks into this place that's pretty much like techno up the wazoo.
Yeah,
and it's controlled by by sensors and everything like that. And he's working with a guy you can hear on the microphone, and they've got it all planned out, and obviously shit goes down. But yeah, check it out. Willem Dafoe, he's pretty much the only actor in that whole movie. It's absolutely. I really enjoyed it. I did recommend it to Jamie. After I watched it, that I really enjoyed it. If you enjoy Defoe and his range, check it out.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the movie review podcast.
Yeah.
We went from Canada to all the way to movies.
To Defoe. So now what we're going to do is
talk about your book.
Tell us about your books.
Yeah, that's it. So I guess
after that we got you onto this podcast.
Yeah, all of those authors then influenced what I wanted to write, which was the big epic fantasy, but with elements of horror. So it follows the story of Aodor. He's a young orphan and he's met by this kind of hero, this champion of his world, called Kaled, who says basically, you're meant to be the next keeper of Narian, the land. The keepers are those who like protect everyone. You're the next one. And he's like, I've got a group of people around me, all these other heroes and champions, and we have to find this magic book, this book called the Tome of Haren, which essentially works kind of like the internet in a weird way. You can kind of ask the book questions and provides answers based on the knowledge it has.
Okay.
And they're being hunted, who also want the book, by a group of cannibal mercenaries called Blooders. And so the novel follows the majority of the time Aedor and these companions as they go trekking across the land through horrific, a veil of horrific spirits and creatures to a city of the undead, where they have to retrieve this book before the cannibal mercenaries take it for themselves. But because I've read so much, I infused like political stuff as well. So there's characters who deal with the political landscape. A princess who is trying to navigate the political world as all of these different characters are trying to influence her. We have a character who starts to learn magic and starts to try and work out, okay, if my life plan was to be a soldier, now I'm suddenly being forced to become someone who uses magic. What does that mean for me? And his own struggles as he realizes that while he might have some talent, he actually kind of sucks at using a lot of magic. And the frustrations that are built out upon that. We also get a look at a character who is from the opposing army. There's a slow war building upon the borders. And so there's these insurgents that are kind of like coming in to disrupt, like, I guess, caravans and villages and things. So we see the perspective of one of these soldiers who's kind of snuck across the border, and his journey, which is as trying to be an honorable man, I guess, throughout this slowly creeping war, and the things he's forced to do, and the choices, the moral conundrums he's forced to make. And so this book kind of jumps, and there's a couple more characters, but the book kind of jumps between 6 characters, 6 points of view, as they all kind of deal with their own issues, their own complex problems as they try to live life. So yeah, it's huge. As I said, it's about 286,000. Words, like over 600 pages. Wow. It's a beast.
And what was the name? I'm sorry for if you thought I wasn't paying attention. What I do is while we talk, I bring up Amazon on my tablet because I do.
No, that's all good.
Like I generally do end up buying people's books. But
live on the podcast.
I'm trying to find it on Amazon. What's the name of the first book?
The Tome of Haren. And so we've got what I tried to do was, instead of just writing a very like by the numbers fantasy, classic fantasy, I wanted to add depth and complexity. So a lot of the characters have different motivations that essentially clash.
Okay.
Why are they doing things? I also, like I said, with a horror influence, I didn't want to just do fantasy. I was like, looking at things like even so far back as like Harry Potter or Emily Rodda with the Del Toro quest or the Rowan of Rin series, there's always this kind of like infused fear, this infused horror in fantasy that I found. And I was like, what if we kind of crank up the dial a bit? What if we kind of put some pretty horrific stuff in? Nothing kind of too gory. I didn't want to kind of just like shock the audience for audience's sake.
Yeah.
Sorry, for shock's sake, but I definitely wanted to kind of blend a couple of genres together. So I tried, after all this like influence stuff, I tried to write a thriller like how Lee Child would write, where it kind of grows and builds to like a crescendo. And then I tried to kind of bring atmospheric horror into the mix as well. And I've had, quite a few times talking to people going, have I gone too far? Is this too far in this scene? Or is this like just below that bar? And so far I'm keeping just below that bar of too far into the dark territory. I've had people say they couldn't sleep at night, which, well, I'm like, hey, I mean, it sucks you can't sleep at night, but I feel good about that.
That's what you want, though. That's like if it gets stuck so much in their head.
That's it.
Nice.
That's it. And I tried to write the action scenes like how Matthew Riley would write. So there was that influence coming into it. I tried to keep them fast paced, on your toes. You're not sure what's going to happen. And I didn't want people to kind of be able to guess, this is what's going to happen. This is this. And so I deliberately killed off people. Yeah. Sorry to spoil that. You won't know who they are. I won't tell you that. But I made sure
see
that
it coming.
yeah, well, that's the hope, is that characters you might enjoy spending time with, I don't know, might not make it. But yeah, it's the first of an enormous series I have planned. And even now, I've had a few people say, "Hey, were you going to write like maybe a spin-off about this character or that character?" And I'm like, "Oh, it wasn't in the plan. It wasn't in the plan." And then they'd go, "Maybe it should be." And I've had to like kind of go back to certain things and maybe come up with like, okay, I've heard a lot of people talk about this character. Maybe I should start thinking about a standalone story for them. But the Tome of Haren was basically the culmination of everything I had read about and everything I had ever wanted to write, just kind of all blended into a mishmash of insane imagination. And so many characters.
So how'd you go about, like, did you build the world as you wrote, or did you build a world and then write into that world?
I'd probably say I did a bit of both. There would definitely be scenes where I would write with kind of just letting my imagination flow a bit freely and go, let's create the world as I go. But then as I would do that, I would stop at a certain point and go, okay, I've just introduced this political system. Let's stop and work on the world building of the political system. How does this play out? What is it? How to make it the most effective it can be, and then go back in and go, okay, now that I know all this stuff I've created, let's utilize that and continue on from where I was. I'd say a lot of the plot though was definitely built beforehand. Yeah, I came up with all the story, all the characters and their arcs, all the journey, the little like bits along the way. I came up with that previously. So like in the realm of architect to gardener, as Martin would say, I'm so much like an architect basically. But like the magic system, I think was the hardest to kind of come to a conclusion on, like figure out how to work it. That made it both possible, unique enough that it wasn't just a one-to-one like theft from someone else, and also provide enough consequences that you couldn't just do whatever the heck you wanted to do. That was a real challenge. And I think I spent maybe like a good 4 months talking to a couple of friends, and I would be like, hey, this is kind of what I think the magic system should be, and this is what they can do with it. What do you think? And they'd go, the question that one of my mates asked every single time was, what's stopping the magic user from just popping someone's head off? If they can use magic, why can't they just do that to everybody they meet? What's the thing preventing that from happening? And it took a while to kind of come to a conclusion of the reality essentially is you can, but it's the least efficient way to use magic. So maybe you could do it to like one person, but maybe you've also drained yourself and there's 10 other people you have to deal with.
Yeah, I get you.
So it
kind of like using up all of your MP on one attack.
100%.
And then you've still got, oh shit, I've got to deal with all these other guys as well.
100%.
You know, it's not, you know, feasible to do that.
That'd be good. That'd be good horror though. Like just group of guys standing around and then one of their head pop.
Yeah, I mean, the boys has that character that can do
that. About to say that, yeah.
But so the magic was definitely one of the harder aspects to kind of come up with, and I gave it a name as well. Like it's called Chantry. So I was like, and the people who use it are called Shan. And I was like, yeah, let's like, and I interchange it. So throughout the book, some people call it magic and some call it Chantry, and it usually just comes down to like a language thing. People have their own names for stuff. So I guess the layman calls it magic. They're like, it's just magic.
Yeah.
But for those who study or know a bit more about it, they're like, oh, it actually has a name. There's like a name to this.
Yeah.
I think though something that really pushed me to my limits was giving individual characters a distinct voice. So because there's 6 perspectives in the book that you kind of follow, how do I, as a brand new writer, how do I come up with 6 distinct voices where you jump between chapters and you don't want to feel like you're reading the same person as you just read.
Yeah.
You want to feel like it's a completely new individual. That was nearly what broke the camel's back in the early days of wanting to have so many characters, but going, I don't know if I can give them individual voices. And I think, thankfully, as the old adage of just like practice makes perfect, I just kept practicing. I just kept writing and changing when it felt like someone else, and be like, that's not what that character would say. That's not what they would do. Even if I didn't agree with it, even if I didn't like it, I'd be like, that's not what they would do though. You know, if a character has been looking after small animals, let's say, and loves flowers and things, and then suddenly I make them kind of ruthless and cruel to people who are innocent, I'd be like, well, that's not really what they do. That's not who they are. And I'd go back and go, no, how would they then deal with that situation? Well, they'd probably try to find a peaceful resolution. Even though I wanted action, I would try and stick as true as possible to each character's perspective and their motivation. It's hard yakka, though, I tell you.
Would be. I had to do a little bit of that with my book. Plug letters from the Emu because I had 7 or 8 different characters.
Yeah, okay, you weren't even further than me.
Yeah, it was. Well, it's told from the perspective of emus writing letters to their loved one, to and from their loved ones.
Oh, nice.
So it's that kind of quirkiness, and it was a lot of fun doing. I think I succeeded at making distinct voices, but I was just laughing too hard when I was writing it. That's the problem.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm going, this isn't an emu writing a letter.
Yeah, what are they? Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so it's Ryan can vouch for it. He's read it.
Yeah, I got a fair few copies of it.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Again, I bought.
I
bought the original, which is the collector's item now.
Oh,
and then I bought the new one, and I bought it digitally as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to support your mates.
Yeah, because I self-published, and then Shawline approached me.
Yeah.
After.
Right.
So and then I'm glad that I got redone with Shawline because the cover's amazing.
Yeah. It's taken a lot better.
Yeah.
And just to let you know, Damien, you have successfully made a sale. Sorry about me not looking at the camera. I was trying to get it all sorted out, but I just officially have bought your book.
Oh, nice.
And it is downloading to my iPad as we speak. So,
oh, wow.
I can't wait to dive in. Yeah. So just to prove that I'm not lying.
Yeah.
He's made a screenshot.
He's got it.
It's literally. I'm one of those people. I don't want people to think, oh yeah, everyone says that. But look, there it is.
There it is. Look at that.
I have bought it just for you guys. I always like to do this for you guys in Australia. If you want to buy it on Amazon on Kindle, I think I just paid $13.50 for it. So I'm sure I'm going to get lots and lots and lots of entertainment from it.
Well, look, it took me 16 years to write. I hope it takes you more than a couple of weeks to read, honestly.
So, what was your process like with Shawline? Because mine was pretty easy because mine was pretty much dusted book that was basically finished, and then they were just like, oh, tweak this, tweak that, new cover, a bit of new art, and that was about it. But what was your process like?
I think for the most part, my editor was like, look, there isn't really much to change. We've just got to obviously touch up like the little bits that need to be touched up.
Yeah.
And there were things missed that later on had to get like refixed and stuff.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that like became a bit of a challenge was perhaps the cover. Just kind of like that back and forth of what I want, what they want, what they think the readers want, and it was a bit of toing and froing, I guess, eventually like coming to the cover that we have now, which tries to kind of instill its like those darker tones and themes and stuff throughout.
Really? So that's something I didn't know about publishers. Do they actually have a say over the cover?
These publishers have the Shawline definitely has a bit of input.
Like I would assume in my I mean, I don't know anything about publishing, but as long as there's not naked people on the front or people murdering people on the front, you could probably have, why I don't understand why they sort of can say yes. I mean, Jamie, your first cover was great, and mind you, I love the second cover.
Yeah.
But I don't understand, and this is not me bashing a publisher or anything, just my own personal knowledge, why they have such an issue with something like the cover. I can understand the story itself obviously needs to be edited and make sure that everything makes sense, but the cover, weird. Interesting to know.
There's probably two answers I'd give to that. The first would be myself. I was very specific with what I wanted, and I kind of wouldn't deviate too much, and I kind of made it really difficult to a degree. But the other thing is, unfortunately, as everybody likes to say, don't judge a book by its cover. Everybody actually does judge books by their cover. Yeah. And so when publishers kind of look at a book, they're looking at, what's the genre? What's the market of covers in that genre? And how can we produce something that fits within that genre, that if anyone can walk in and go, yeah, that's fantasy. Yeah, that's thriller. Yeah, that's horror. Yeah. But different enough that they go, that's fantasy, but it looks a little different to all the other fantasy. I might like to try that. And that's where creating a cover is so hard, I think. And I've heard a lot of people say that they quite like the cover. It's reminded that some people of a bunch of different books and a bunch of different authors and stuff, which I was really impressed by. And I know some people, family members as well, who've looked at it and they're like, oh, look, looks quite dark. And I'm like,
wow.
Oh, well, if you thought that was dark, let's hope you get through the prologue.
So there was nothing in the budget to get an actual tome made,
It is a tome. Essentially, if you look at the physical thing, it is a tome.
Yeah.
But I guess with the production of the actual book, they had to shrink the writing down and had to expand it to the edges of the margin just to kind of fit it in normal pages. And that's where I think they were there was some issue of, we didn't realize how much words this was going to be on a printed book. And I've even had, it's become a joke with a bunch of people from my Twitter page who've read the book. They have issues with how small the writing is. Quite a few people have actually reached out and said the writing is really small. And I've jokingly kind of pushed back and said, well, for the next one, I'll include a magnifying glass with it. Everybody gets given a bookmark with their book. I'll send a magnifying glass so they can actually read the pages.
That's an issue that you had, Jamie. The writing in your first release was so freaking tiny. Yeah. I was just hey, people like me who are vision impaired, I was having trouble reading it. But that's why I bought it digitally.
But then the funniest thing is old people, because my mum gives it to all her friends. Oh, the best time to write a book.
Yeah.
And the old people going had no problem with tiny writing. It was all the young people, all people in their 40s and 50s, all going it's so small.
Yeah, that's it. But I learned a lot through that publishing process though too.
Me too.
100%.
I mean, obviously it was a lot harder for you because my book's 100 pages.
Yeah,
a lot of images.
I think if I recalled at the time, and I'm not sure if it's been broken since, but at the time I'm pretty sure it was Shawline's longest book to publish.
Wow.
And I had a weird feeling where it's they're probably in the background going, maybe we've bitten off more than we could chew with this one. Maybe this one's a bit too big.
Yeah.
But I was always look, I probably won't compromise on any of the story or the characters or anything in the actual book. And for going forward, I'll try not to compromise as well. I'll try and be, this is what I want to tell, as true to its form as possible. Even if people don't like it, even if it's too big for people to read, I'll be but I wanted to tell it this way. And I'll kind of stick to my guns in that respect.
So will the second book be shorter or longer or same?
It's it's going to be around the same, maybe a smidge longer.
Oh,
I definitely,
no.
I definitely want to try and keep it between the 250 and 300k mark.
Yeah.
It's currently shaping up to be a lot harder to write than the first one, even though I've been writing it for a shorter time. I think the level of complexity that I've increased upon myself and in the story for the second novel has made it really tricky. I think expectations and continuing to tell. So you're trying to tell two stories. You have the individual story of book two, but then you're also trying to tell the story of the overarching novel where characters will end up eventually. And trying to marry them is such a hard job, honestly. It takes a lot of wind out of the sails when I sit down to write. Maybe I get 100 to 200 words in, but it's all words dedicated to keeping one of the two like in check to a degree. Because the first one I could do like maybe 2,000 words a day, and I try to usually hit that nowadays as well. But definitely there are times when I sit down to write number two and I'm like, this is actually a complex scene of I'm setting stuff up for future books. Yeah. I'm also trying to answer questions for this one or the previous book. And I'm trying to deliver on continuing this story's individual story forward. And it's hard yakka, honestly. But I've been told, thankfully, by a lot of people, other authors that I've met online as well, they're like, look, the sequel's always harder than the first one, always. But it gets easier from number 3 onwards.
Yeah.
And consistently, I've been told that consistently. So maybe there's other people out there who haven't had that experience. I wouldn't know because I've only met the people who say, look, one was easy because it was the first one. It's your first love necessarily. Yeah. It's your baby, as some people call it. Number 2, they were like, number 2 is the devil. It's the hardest thing that they've ever written. It's because the expectations as well. People expect more from a sequel. They expect you to continue, but also to increase. Yeah. And then they say, but after that, you've earned the audience's trust. After the first 2, if you can do them well, the audience trusts you. The expectation of going forward actually reduces a bit, and you can kind of relax. You can kind of enjoy yourself, is what I've heard. So I'm looking forward to finishing this one. I think I just passed the halfway point not too long ago, a few weeks back, which is about 150,000 words.
Wow.
So I'm hoping to try and make the second half a bit shorter. But it's been a lot of fun, honestly. And there's so many things throughout it that I've really enjoyed, like action scenes or like emotional moments, character twists, things like that I've found myself going, yes, this is why I love to write.
Nice. That's the main focus.
As long as it remains fun.
Oh.
As long as it remains fun, it will become, and you've still got that passion in it. Definitely. You'll be able to do this forever. So
that's the hope, is to just tell stories forever as long as I can.
So is this series your main focus, or is there other things you're working on at the same time? Or
so I have a lot of ideas. I'm a crazy person. I have so many ideas. I guess all authors do, really. All writers do. But I have, beyond this whole series and this, I have some plans to write some future series as well that I've been slowly touching on. But also I want to tackle some standalone stuff of blending, again, fantasy and horror together, but really, again, cranking the horror level up another notch. Some really interesting ideas. I've started to work on one of them, just a little bit, calling it The Night of Spikes. It's yet to kind of go beyond maybe the first 5 or 10 chapters or so, but it is meant to be like body horror.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
it's not Land Before Time or anything like that, with Spike.
No. It's more like I can't remember. I think the character's name in the Marvel comics is Speedball and becomes Penance. I think he goes from being a really jovial character to being harrowed by the actions that he caused, and he wears a suit of armor that induces pain, and it hurts him frequently to remind him of like what he did. And there's a similar thing to the extent with the Knight of Spikes that I'm going for.
Yeah. And you said you're a Christian, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
It's pretty dark.
No, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I get a lot of I get a lot of people who are like, are you sure? Actually, the question I got frequently when first few people read it, I had a bunch of friends come back to after reading the tome, and they come up to me and they were like, "Are you okay? Do we need to have a talk? Do you need to see somebody? Therapist?" And I'm like, "No, guys, this isn't what you think it is. It's not like a trauma dump. I'm not like going, oh, my life has been horrible. I have to put it all." I was like, I kind of wanted to, take a bunch of different stuff and chuck it all in and have a bit of fun with it. And I've always loved horror growing up. And so they were like, okay, well, we're always here for you if you need it, I was like, thanks. It's good to know.
Well, I think we've come to the time, Brian, the gamer talk. We are crouching in on Martin Kern's length, so I think we are going to beat the record.
Fair.
What are you playing? What are you playing now?
What am I playing now? Well, I'll start with what I've just finished playing first.
Okay, yes.
So Resident Evil 4 remake. Absolute vibe. That was such a good game. Oh my goodness. I mean, I've enjoyed all of the remakes. I've enjoyed all of the Resident Evils, Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Yes,
how absolutely. Good is that? Oh phenomenal. My gosh. Yes. And how does it feel? How does it feel having, as a redhead, having representation? Oh, couldn't ask for anything more. I'm happy. Yeah. I could die a happy Star Wars fan.
Cal Kestis is a great character. Let's just say
100%.
That.
And I want to see him live action. That would be
it would be amazing
if they do it well. Obviously, some of the Star Wars stuff has been hit or miss. But definitely, and particularly after Fallen Order, I was like, I'm so keen to play Jedi Survivor. So finishing that was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Currently, I've gone back to a couple of games. So been playing through Remnant of the Ashes, which is like a co-op, kind of Dark Souls inspired, but with guns. And myself and one of my mates, we frequently would catch up and play that together because you can like co-op it. Titanfall 2, got back into Titanfall 2, really enjoying that. Dead Island 2, I picked up that. I was like, it was cheap. I was like, yeah, let's just smack some zombies around. Let's have a bit of fun, and it's
Dead Island 2 is on special at the moment. I think it's part of PlayStation's Easter sale. I think it's like $30 or something like that. So I was eyeing that off too. I thought,
no, I've had a great time with Dead Island 2. Yeah. Weirdly,
is the story, and I've never played any Dead Island games. Is the story okay, or I've heard it's not great?
Story's average. It's pretty average. I'm in it for the weird and wacky kind of zombie kills you can do. Hot Wheels 2 Unleashed I've been playing as well. I do love those Hot Wheels games. But then also Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
That is such a big game. I take it like little bits at a time because of how big it is.
Yeah.
But it's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And without all the glitches, it's near perfection.
Yeah.
Near perfection.
I played it when it had the glitches, and it was so fun. And I was on PS5, so and then we had a mate that was trying to play it on PS4, and he's like, "It's so bad, I can't do this."
Well, that's it. I had a PS4 when it came out. I was like, no, I'm just gonna wait until I get at least a PS5 before getting out. I'm glad I ended up waiting until the glitches were fixed. So I had a quite an enjoyable playthrough.
The best I got was just like there was a busker with no guitar, but they were just kind of like so it was the guitar sounds playing, she's strumming away, but there's no guitar.
No, I definitely had guitars in mind. My one has guitars.
Yeah.
I just love the amount of like stuff you can do in the game.
Yeah.
They're like, do you want to hack that thing? Yeah, you can hack it. Do you want to change up your gun so it shoots around corners? Yeah, you can do that. I was like, this is incredible.
That's like, I got the same feeling with Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh.
I've played that so many times. I actually had to stop because I wanted to finish it before I started playing Dragon's Dogma 2. But then I wasn't far enough into Red Dead 2 to justify waiting probably 3 months or something.
Yeah. So I'm
Well,
like,
the I'm more of a linear guy, like a linear. I'm not a massive open world guy, but Cyberpunk kind of had enough of. Okay, so we're going to give you a touch of the open world if you want it, but then if you don't want it, you can stick to the, stick to the linear path that we're going to. Because that's just me. I'm a JRPG guy, and I'm a horror guy, and that's where I came from. Like I was so proud of myself. I did my best speed run on Resident Evil 3 remake last night, 3 hours and 38 minutes.
Wow.
And that was during the hardcore mode, not using a healing item and not opening the item box once. So I was very proud of myself for
That's
that.
amazing.
I got, because that was one of the few trophies on Resident Evil 3 remake and Resident Evil 2 remake that I hadn't got yet. It's a speed run on hardcore mode, finishing it under 4 hours. Without using a healing item and without opening any of the item boxes, and literally I just went through. I dodged as many zombies as I could.
Yeah,
I killed what I had to kill. Literally the only items I picked up were bullets and guns, and that was it. 3 hours and 38 minutes. Bang! Final credits. I was so proud of myself.
That's incredible.
But yeah, that's just
honestly.
me. I love my horror games. I love my role playing games. My like Final Fantasy. Any JRPG, I'll give it a whirl.
Yeah.
I'm more of a linear guy. Like Jamie's more of an open world guy with like Red Dead and all that kind of stuff.
I want to be engrossed.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I just play any game that I vibe with, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to kind of take a bit of a risk and play some really weird ones and go, I actually really like that. Or no, it doesn't kind of work for me. But like games have also had a huge influence, I guess, like storytelling and stuff too. Like you can't help it. It's just everything you watch or play or read has some kind of influence on what you then want to create, whether it be consciously or unconsciously. And video games have definitely been a huge part of like my growing up. Spyro, like the early days, Spyro. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I'll ask you this: did you ever play the original Resident Evil 4?
Yeah. Yeah.
What one did you think? Like I asked this question to a lot of people. What did you enjoy the original or the remake more?
I think for its time, the original, what it was doing in the genre, most definitely. But I don't know, there was just something about the remake that as I was playing through it, maybe it is the graphic update, but I don't know. I felt so immersed in the game that there were times, because I usually kind of set like a bit of a timer for myself to play. Yeah. There were times I found myself, I was like 6 hours later and I was still playing and still just like enjoying everything I was doing. Like there wasn't I had to physically stop and pull myself out and kind of be like, oh, it's time. You spent way too much on this. Yeah. And usually when games do that to me, that's a telltale sign for me that it's something else. So I think the remake.
Yeah, but it'd also be the nostalgia factor too.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I'm gonna I say that to everyone. I hated the film. I hated the original. The controls were too wacky for me. Just the way, like it felt. I did beat it and finish it, but I enjoy the remake more. Not just because the controls are now a hell of a lot better. Yeah, but the expansion on some of the stories, like on the Krauser, the Leon Krauser, the Major Krauser fight, and it's sort of expanded on that a little bit, and on the actual cult of that village, it sort of gave a little bit more expansion. And obviously some of the, the baghead chainsaw wielders, they look a hell of a lot better than they did in the original.
Yeah, but I still hate to fight them.
Yeah, oh man, they're just horrible. They're absolutely horrible. But I enjoyed I like the engine that they're using for the remake. I just really wish that they would do that for the first one, because unfortunately I love Resident Evil 1. I can't go back and play it because of the controls and everything just drive me crazy.
Oh yeah.
I really wish that they was great. They started with 2 because at the time 2 was the most popular. But I just really wish that they're moving on to 5 now. That they go, which is great because I've never actually finished 5 because again the controls are just horrible. So we're going to be spending a bit of time in West Africa. Yeah. Once the with the Ouroboros Once that remake comes out, and then they're also working on Resident Evil 9 at the same time.
I'm so keen
but
for
I
9, honestly.
I just wish that they would just go back and do 1 in the same engine that they've done 2, 3, and 4, and that would make me a happy gentleman. So anyone from Capcom, if you're listening to this podcast, I would really, I'll use my Make-A-Wish. Not that I need to make a wish, but please just remake Resident Evil 1 in the same engine as you've done 2 and 3 and 4, because they're amazing. I play them. I play 2, 3, and 4. I will play 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8. I will play on an annual basis. I will play once a year, 100%.
I really like PlayStation.
7. I own them on computer. So yeah, 7
Biohazard actually had some of the scariest stuff for me. I was genuinely
100%.
Like, this is terrifying.
I couldn't get into it. When I first started playing it, I couldn't get into it. I'm like, this is so different from what we're used to. And then I think a month or 2 after I got it, I went back and had a good, real red hot go at it, and it was actually amazing. The change in the whole pollen and the moss and everything, and how that all. And then obviously that ties into 8, which is my favorite of all time so far.
8 was bananas. That was wild.
I mean, the way that it starts, the ball to the wall, and then it's just like the story and the whole, and especially I ended up forking out for the expansion as well, the Rose Winters expansion, which was amazing as well. It's just that was, those 2 games are contained in one era, obviously because of what happens at the end of 8. So you got those 2 games that are contained, and now we've got a new character in Rose Winters who obviously has these abilities.
Yes.
And I'm keen to see she's working with Chris Redfield, obviously Chris Redfield from the OG Resident Evils.
Brilliant. It was so good to see him come back as well.
100%. Like Leon Kennedy is my favorite playable character, but Chris Redfield is a close second.
I think I look at it like Leon is the favorite. Leon is like you are like Leon kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Chris is like the older brother who just kind of he's unstoppable. Like he never 100%. And you always want to be beside Chris. Like you want to be like, I'm your buddy, Chris. Like keep me alive, please. That's kind of how I feel whenever I look at them.
You felt like that. You felt like that in 8. Like some of the scenes in Resident Evil 8 where Chris Redfield is just complete badass.
Yeah.
He's done his time. He's been, I think Resident Evil 1 and then 5, and then some of the spin-offs like Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2 were absolutely great. But yeah, Chris has done his time. He's hard, and he's now working for he just wants to take down Umbrella completely.
Yeah.
And man, I cannot get enough of this. I'm happy if they brought him back. They're talking about bringing him back as the main character for 9, and I'd be damn.
I hope so.
Like, please.
Yeah.
Please give me, because he's such an amazing character. But man, like 5 is the only one I haven't finished.
So 5, funnily enough, is the only one I finished 3 or 4 times with different people, because you can play co-op and you can like do it together. I've finished it with 3 different friends, so we like worked through it consecutively and had a blast like every time, because they all play differently. And
that's one of the things that I wish I liked. I wish I liked playing with other people, but I don't. I'm like, I'm a single player. I don't do online play. I just I want to finish it myself. And I guess that was one of the letdowns with 5, because when you use the AI to play the girl, she kept picking up all the ammo and the herbs and shit. And I was like, dude, I'm got no ammo, no nothing. And that's what made me give up on it. I'm just like, I'm waiting for the remake because it's going to be so much better.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so keen.
But yeah, 100%. Resident Evil is my go-to. Like if I'm having a shit day, a shit pain day or whatever, I'll just download Resident Evil, 2 or 3 and just
jump back on and go for it again.
Have some fun. You know what I mean? Like it's so much fun. I know it's probably bad saying that I enjoy killing people, but it's just so much fun. They're undead people. Get over it. Like seriously, I'm saving the goddamn world. All right. But yeah, like I jump. As I said, I'm a massive role playing JPRG guy. But you have to be in the zone for those, because those bad boys are like 200, 300, 400 hours of game. As I said, with Resident Evil, I finished it in 3 hours and 38 minutes last night.
Yeah.
But so they're the games you can just jump on and just have fun. And
That's it.
Forget about
That's
everything.
it. I think if there's like one game I regret never being able to play, because I didn't have a PlayStation at the time, and it's not even a game technically. It's PT. So it's like a horror thing. It's called it stands for playable trailer, I'm pretty sure. And it was meant to be a trailer for a new Silent Hill game. But essentially it's like a loop. You're in a house and you're just looping. You're going around and around. But every time you end up at the beginning again, things have changed. The house has changed. Pictures are different. It gets creepier and creepier and creepier. And I never got to play it. I could only watch through YouTube videos of people's playthroughs. And some people were good where they would actually play it like they wanted you to experience it with them. So they wouldn't talk. They would just kind of play. And they would obviously jump when scares happened. Yeah. And so I watched it through them and I was like, oh my gosh, this actually might be the most terrifying thing I think I've seen in video games.
All right. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask our listeners to put earmuffs on for a second because we don't talk about anything like this. Your listeners, have you got your earmuffs on? Good. Okay. Damien, have you heard of emulators?
Yes.
So there you go. You got a chance to play it. I guarantee you'll be able to find it on a site. Yes, somewhere. It's not the most legal way to play it, but
that's it.
There's so many as a JRPG guy. There's so many games that I never got to play because they only came out in Japanese or they came out in the US and they never made its way over here to Australia. So there's some of the Dragon Quest games, some of the really old school Breath of Fire, all those kind of ones I have to play through an emulator because I have no choice. I would gladly pay money for these games.
Well, there's a lot of emulator consoles that are for sale all over the place. Heaps.
Oh, for sure. Heaps.
Yeah.
I mean, funnily enough, a lot of the old school consoles have made a comeback.
Yeah.
You can rock up to. I think I rocked up to JB Hi-Fi and saw both a GameCube and a Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening? What is going on?
Well, even Apple have jumped on the bandwagon. Apple was a big one for we're not doing anything illegal. They finally allowed an emulator called Delta, which I've got, and Delta is amazing. It's from the Nintendo side of things, so it's Game Boy Advance, Super Nintendo, NES. And I was like, I don't want to play games on my phone like that kind of crap. I downloaded the original Breath of Fire. And I start for our listeners at home again. Please put your earmuffs on. But I will show you. That's what it looks like. You've got the top screen there, and you can't really see it, but you've got the controller down here. So you've got your arrows and stuff. And it's actually I playing Breath of Fire for 3 hours the other day.
That's amazing.
And I didn't even realize it. And it actually works really well. So thank you for Apple jumping on the bandwagon because they know exactly what this emulator does. So Apple are like, we're gonna, because on Samsung, they've been out on Samsung. Emulators have been out since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
But now Apple have finally jumped on the bandwagon, and this Delta emulator app is absolutely amazing. So
is this the Apple plug you're trying to get Apple to sponsor?
No, definitely not. I'm trying to get Apple to do more shit like this.
Yeah,
because I you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm normally a Samsung guy, but I got this because I started to do before everything happened. I started to do Uber full time, and the Uber app runs a hell of a lot better on Apple than it does on Android. So I switched over to the iPhone 14 Pro Max just for that, and then everything happened, and now I'm going to do it. But it doesn't matter. But I'm really glad that they finally jumped on the board. So if you're willing to do it, that's a way you could probably play that game. But I'm a fan like you. I jump on YouTube all the time and just put in a game that I haven't finished, and just will watch it for hours. Just sit back and just watch someone playing. And I find the ones like you do where they don't talk, and you can just watch it. Sit back and watch it. And it's like watching a movie.
100%.
You know what I mean? So I'm 100% behind that.
There you go. Well, Damien, congratulations. You are our longest guest.
Thank you.
Yeah.
By 15 minutes.
Well, I did write an incredibly long book, so I guess that makes sense to have
which we probably only talked about 20% of the time. So.
Look, that's all right.
Well, look, as I said, I bought it. Once I've read it, I'll give it a big plug on our socials and stuff like that. But speaking of socials, I will like it. I'm sure I will. You've two of my favorite things, fantasy and horror. I mean, what's not to like?
Yeah, that's the hope.
So what we're going to do is we're going to get you to plug your social, tell everyone your website where you can buy the book and everything. I mean, I know I've mentioned Amazon, but I believe you can also buy a hardcover of it for about $30 in Australia too. So on Amazon, paperback, from what I saw.
Paperback. So you can get it, digital or paperback through Amazon or through Shawline themselves. They have it up on their website. And then on my Instagram, on my Twitter page, which is just Damien Francis Author, there's like links to buy the books there. I don't currently have a website. I'm working on getting one. But basically, yeah, Twitter, Instagram, Amazon, Shawline, those are the big ones you can get it from pretty easily.
Cool. And we'll put all the links in the show notes, guys. Yeah, thanks for coming on, Damien. It's been
Thanks for having me.
Fun.
It has been. It's been good.
We'll have to get you on again. We do have follow-up icebreakers if you ever come back on again.
Yeah, nice. I'd love to come back on. You guys are great. You guys are lots of fun. I love it.
Thank you so much for coming on. I've had so much fun having a chat about everything.
Yeah.
And I said I bought your book. I'm looking forward to reading that over the next week. And
fantastic.
I'll make sure I'll send you any discrepancies and any continuity errors will be signed in red and sent back.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll take it all on board, honestly.
Awesome. Well, guys, feel free to reach out at thetrueandthefictional@gmail.com. Our Instagram is stories_podcast. We're on Facebook, YouTube, obviously, because if you're watching this right now, we're on YouTube. We'll catch you next time.
See you next time.
Thanks again.